Hey guys, so I just wanted to make a video. Didn't really have a topic of mine today. Just wanted to go ahead and share some thoughts that I've been thinking about transversing through life. Some of you may know, but I do work in tech and I do take exams and study and as a part of that. And naturally moving up to the ranks of a career. So there's a lot more responsibilities that eventually start being given to you and whatnot. And I think a culmination of a lot of my own personal life experiences and choices the last couple of years have made that road a lot easier, but I don't think it never really gets easier. More so, you just get more used to it. It's kind of like going through a hard breakup the first time. Breakups always suck, but it's not as bad in the sense that you've done it before, so you know what to kind of expect. And I've been having this feeling more so when it comes to just getting older as well. Some of you guys are younger, so it's completely natural to have these problems and have it so at your forefront to think that it's such a like, how do I solve this problem? How do I fix this? And you spend time listening to YouTubers and guys tell you the exact answers, the exact advice, when it's incredibly hard because it's like every time you listen to the advice that they're saying, it doesn't really, like, you're like, damn, but I wish it just hit on every single thing that I'm going through. Like, it's like 90, sometimes even 95%. But that's what keeps you kind of keep searching for that answer, is that you never really are going to get to the bottom of it. You never really are going to get to that point where nobody's going to have more delegation of the context of what's going on in your life than yourself. So that's why experience is so valuable, because it only really applies to you, and you can help other people who have been in similar situations to an extent and help in that regard. YouTube, unfortunately, is it tries to appeal to the masses. So you'll see people omit information. You'll see people purposely give you curated content for the sakes and purposes of just getting views. That's why it's hard to really find good YouTube content. And even that in of itself just starts creating this kind of like pipeline rabbit hole of honestly time wasting that goes on. And just be honest with yourself. A lot of the videos you'll see, most of them you don't even remember or really remember watching. They may be like good conversational pieces later, but they're not really that much of a substance most of the time, right? Probably not my video sometimes, I would think, but that's just my opinion. It sounds kind of like negative, but I do have a point to all this. The main point that I have about, just kind of listening and having that experience is that a lot of people, I think it's retroactively this sense of not being, you don't want to be seen, right? Like, you don't, and when I say seen, it's not like you don't want to go outside or be seen by other people. It's just that there's a good chance that you've probably have had the sentiment or feeling that you don't want to be seen by others in a down. You don't want to be seen by other people making a mistake. You don't want to be seen by other people embarrassed or putting yourself way out there contrary to the norm. You don't want to be seen in a state of failure by others, because that's very scary. It's alarming to be more vulnerable amongst a crowd of others who wouldn't do the same thing. And I've always kind of just contested that as I've gotten older. And I really believe that leaning more into the void of fuck it, we'll just see what happens, it's a lot more rewarding. And this always feels good to say and, talk on YouTube, and, people kind of cheer you on over the internet and they rage on, yeah, man, it's so true. And then real life happens and everybody just kind of stands there with their hands in their pockets. And I really want to encourage you, if you're listening to this video, be faster at that plan of action, be more proactive, and just grab life and just hug it tight and squeeze it like you're about to crush his bones. That's how you got to do it, because otherwise you'll start thinking too much about what's the best approach, how to do this thing, how to do this other thing, and you just won't end up doing anything at all. But even on that point, I think the reason why this comes up to topic is because I recently took a test, and I failed the exam. And that's always such a shitty feeling, because you prepare for something for X amount of time and you prep up, it's a lot serious. I went to a test center, the whole thing, and won't get into too many details, but I just failed by like a couple of questions. And even though it was by a couple of questions, I'm like, gosh, man, I wanted to like dominate that test. I wanted to like destroy that test. And I don't know. I think that's just always a bad feeling. But what I realize afterwards, or every time something like that happens, is that that feeling of shame is what retroactively it drives you to want to do better in the future, right? But you can't have shame if you haven't done anything to feel that sense of shame, right? And there's no real shame in me failing an exam in the grand scheme of things, but I feel that shame. I told people I was gonna take it, and I was prepared, I was ready, I was gung ho, and that's always a shitty feeling to come back and say, nah, man, we couldn't do it, man. I feel like I've let myself down, I let other people down, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's actually a good thing. Because it's not like I can't just take the test again or anything. And many times that's all life is. It's just a test. It's just a constant exam. What's the real drawback of you making that one move or that one approach or that one saying or that one mistake potentially? What's the drawback? An awkward moment, a cringy idea that you think about every once in a while, But the reality is that the reason why you wake up late at night or you stay up late at night, you're thinking about that one experience that you had that was so embarrassing, is because you probably have never retroactively done something to get better at what made it so wrong in the first place, or what mistakes that you made that allowed that to happen, or done it more times so that experience is just like a fluke, right? Like it's just like, oh, well, it's luck of the draw there, right? So I don't know. As you get older, as I've gotten older anyways, I don't really have too many things I stay up late at night thinking about, in that regard, like embarrassing moments. Sure, I think about it time to time like anybody else, but there's nothing that's like, God, I can't believe like that I did that, and oh God, I'm like, some people really go through it. I don't know. I just think that, if you are one of those people, think about why that is. Like, you sent that cringy note, or you send that cringy IG message to your friend. You finally told your crush, hey, I like you, and she didn't reciprocate that feeling. It's something there that's meant for you to. That's why your mind is telling you, hey, remember when you did this thing? It's because it's telling you that, that shame that you felt, we don't want to feel this way again, and it's telling you to do something about it. It's not to say that you won't have shame and other things, but the more successful that you are in doing that action, obviously the more you have that experience, but the more that you'll be okay with that failure in the future, right? Because you've done it so many times, you understand where your shortcomings were, and then ultimately you understand that sometimes life is just luck. Like life is just luck of the draw, and you just gotta you gotta roll with the punches. You gotta go with the moments, but the more that you have, the tougher skin that you have. It all kind of compounds on itself, right? And at the same time, it also is kind of circular, because a lot of people, they will complain that of the situational circumstances, whatever have you be, but they, like many of they'll do nothing about it. I don't want you guys watching this video to be victims of the situation. I want you guys to, it's not really like making lemons and turning it into lemonade. I think these are just naturally the ingredients that are necessary for. You see the people that you want to be like. Those people, one way or another, have gone through the similar experiences. And if they haven't, they have just been naturally talented at that ability. But that's incredibly rare. It's not as common as you think. And those people that make it seem so natural and are talented at it, they can't really teach you how to do it. And that's what makes it kind of a convoluted thing whenever you go and ask people, like, you guys have seen that one meme where it's that like really skinny guy and it's that Chad, and it's like, so all you're saying is I need to be confident, right? And the guy's like smiling. I'll see if I can pull it up here or something, but it's just funny because it's just, there's certain people that will just never have to understand what it is to have to work at something. I like to think that I'm somebody who didn't really have a decent hand of the draw in one way or another, and some areas I did. And a lot of the times I just focus on the blessings that I did have, and the more I think about it, the blessings that I have is that I was born in a great country that provides me tons of opportunities that people literally will die for, right? There are tons of opportunities. There are tons of learning. I have the internet available to me. I can learn anything at the touch of my fingertips as much as I want to. There's public libraries around me. There's internet everywhere. I could talk to anybody. Anybody on the planet is reachable, right? Through the means of email, LinkedIn messaging, phone, some kind of way, shape, or form. The 6 degrees of separation, everybody's reachable to capacity. And there's only so many times you're going to get rejected before you get an opportunity that you need or you're looking for, right? And that's kind of what I mean. Like, you have to start seeing what the possibilities of what you can do are, right? And not so much focus on like where your shortcomings are. Because when you start just focusing on the shortcomings, man, it gets harder. It literally gets harder because you don't think about the things that you actually can do with what you have. I know that's like a redundant thing to say. Some of you have already kind of heard this, and I'm not trying to like beat a dead horse of like some kindergarten advice, right? But it's really that simple. I don't know how else to say it. It's as simple as just that, right? And when you think about it, you're young and you're like, you are in kindergarten, you are in first grade, second grade. As you get older, you start to kind of be more jaded by experiences, by kids being mean at school. But when you first go into school, man, you're just yourself. You're very expressive. There's nothing that's going on there. As kids kind of grow older and they understand that the world gets scarier, and it kind of pays to be in a sense of like a sense of security and knowing that, you're not the one that's messing up. Right? That's where bullying comes from, where people's insecurities are projected onto other people and all that stuff. But when you realize as an adult that really bullying is not as socially acceptable as it is in school, because everybody has their own life and accords going on, and you can just remove yourself out of the situation many of the times, or just call the police. Like if we're really being serious about it, you don't have to be in those environments, but you also don't have to stay with the constant abuse of those people. But I don't know how I got on this point. I guess the main central point is that after a while you got to be seen. You got to focus on the things that are within your reach and your abilities. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to life, that's all that, I'll say all that really matters, but it's kind of all that does matter, right? As people stay in this, I don't know, black pill, jaded sense of the world where they focus on certain things, people like to feel, I don't know, I really do think that people like to feel oppressed. They like to feel like the underdogs. I like to feel like an underdog, but I don't like to constantly, focus in on my underdoghood, if that makes sense. Like, I don't like to just feel that way. I like to do something about it. Like, I like to be, half of the point, half of the game, like half, and they're almost blowing me out, and have the means and have the abilities to kind of make it back. Because the glory of that tastes so much sweeter than just having it kind of handed to you, and knowing deep down that you had a lot of help from these sources that that you could easily attribute that success to. That's why I don't really believe in cheating or getting shortcuts out of this way. I know a lot of people, I'm not saying like in the sense of getting a coach or getting tutor or getting direct training. I think that's incredibly beneficial. I actually think that's what a lot of people need. Some people just need to be directly told feedback and given instruction on what to do, because some people it's hard. People's ego and their stubbornness to understand is actually what limits them many a times. I've seen this with some of my own friends, some of my own family members. Their own ego and their own ignorance and their own abilities to just admit that they suck at certain things is the reason why that they find themselves in really, bad situations. You probably suck at it if you're not good at it, right? Like, that's why we get so frustrated and tilted whenever things happen to us in life. If I'm being honest, it's because we probably don't embrace the fact that we suck at it, right? But when you embrace the fact that you suck at things, it becomes a lot easier to deal with it, because you're not so focused on being tilted that, damn, I suck at this and it's actually this fault and this is what happened. Like, dude, I was playing Gears earlier today before recording this gameplay, and I was getting dogged on, and I was just like not understanding. I mean, if I'm being fair, my teammates weren't. I was not getting good luck with I was solo queuing and my teammates, I don't know. It was not, but I've seen so many plays where I just missed shots. I just pushed when I wasn't supposed to. I, rotated way too early and not with my teammates like I was supposed to. And even though my teammates aren't necessarily like, I don't know, even though they're not, how do I say, like at that mark or following me along with me, it's my fault because I have to adapt to the environment of what of the ability and the skill set of my teammates. I can't expect them to just get on with the program all of a sudden, and that's a fine line to walk on. But I think that that's a parallel to life, that sometimes you can't expect people to always be on your page and understand everything about you and think the same way that you do, right? One of my friends was telling me, I make these videos, I give advice to people, and as a friend, I like to be extremely direct. I like people who are extremely direct with me because that actually makes me appreciate them a lot more. As I was growing up, I felt like a lot of the people in my life weren't direct with me, and that actually held me back and limited me in many ways until I kind of broke free from that, if they don't tell me anything, then it's probably not an issue, right? Until I started kind of realizing things myself. I started studying my actions, studying my habits, studying the patterns of my thinking, studying how people were treating me and how they looked at me and why I was getting the results socially that I was getting and not really understanding. And then I was just like, dude, I probably don't. And it was in a vanity kind of way, like a little vanity, but it also tied into the fact that people do value people who pull themselves out of bad situations or make the most out of their situation when the odds are stacked against them. And that's why in the beginning, you don't get a lot of support. I'm going to be honest, dude. The people that support me the most are people that are, I don't know, like, not that I don't know in real life, but that I don't have, I don't know, the longevity of knowing them for a long time, if that makes sense. Like, there are a few people that I've known for a long time that will support me, but the majority of the people that I've met across my passive lives, they wouldn't support like the YouTube channel. They wouldn't support like an Instagram post. They wouldn't support like a new business. I'm sure if I posted it, that's probably negative for me to think, but in that sense, but it's just reality. Like and that's fine. Like I'm not trying to say like, oh man, it's smoke with them. It's like all eyes on me, or I'm not trying to make it like I'm not trying to be like, oh, whoa, like they're fine. I don't need them. It just, understanding that, people are the way that they are. If I'm being honest, I'm like that sometimes with certain people that I know. And I think it's just this phenomenon that, we have this sense of community that's so barren and so void. And I don't know, I feel like there is a natural part of a lot of people that is moving to being that willing to change that. Like, take this for example. If you're somebody that you find that, man, nobody hits me up, nobody wants to go and hang out, nobody wants to, like do things anymore. It's like, when is the last time that you yourself reached out to your friends and scheduled like hangout or dinner or going out to the movies or going out to the arcades and stuff, or just going and chilling and hanging out and doing some kind of activity? When is the last time that you actually curated something like that? A lot of us are just waiting for those things to happen, right? This is what I'm saying. We got to be proactive, right? If you have to be that person, so be it, then you'll naturally connect with other people who want to do that more naturally anyways. And, it's a choice at the end of the day. If you want to be that person and you feel like the other people are not putting in that effort, then you also have a choice to not be friends with those people, right? And then the follow along thing is like, well, what if these are the only friends I know? Then make more friends. Well, I don't know how to make friends. Well, there's a problem you can focus on. Not freaking semen retention and nofap and all this bullcrap, right? This is this is what I'm talking about in my earlier videos, man. These problems that I just mentioned are not real problems. These are not things that are going to solve the deeper issues of life or the deeper challenges and obstacles that a lot of us, mutually face. I can get better at that myself. I can get better at inviting people, curating events, and hanging out with my friends that I deem close and that I actually have love for. So I don't even know how I got to this point, but like I said at the start of this video, it's just a couple of things that I have had in my mind. At the end of the day, guys, just be seen, man. If you do these things, you do put things together, people don't want to reciprocate or do that. You have to understand at the end of the day, the true value, the true satisfaction that you should get is by being that person that goes out of their way to do things. This is always going to carry the momentum and the torch and your spirit, your fire, your thumos that is going to propel you to be resilient to many eras in your life, right? I'll leave you guys with this. I have this hung on my wall here in my office, and I look at it every once in a while, but I always kind of glance it up and it remind me. But it's the Man in the Arena quote, right? Those of you who are not familiar, Man in the Arena is a speech, part of a speech given by Theodore Roosevelt. I think it's April 23rd, 1910. I'm trying to read it off of the wall, guys. But all it says is that it's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes short again and again because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds? Who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause? Who at the best knows in the end of the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. Thank you guys for watching. This is White Pill Brian signing off. Like the video if you did, don't if you don't, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.